Obviously, Independence Live is streaming this round the world, and David's wanting to put a yes flag up. But I would like to point out that everyone that comes up here is coming up with their own independent views, so I don't want any no votes to feel uncomfortable. Because one of the problems I think that Loki's touched on and Matt touched on a bit as well, independence is about having independent thoughts. So it's not about following the crowd. And I think if the question was tonight, see the question at the referendum was, is things fucked up and do they need to change? Then it would have been 100% yes landslide, wouldn't it? But the reason people did vote no is I think a lot of what they were scared because the media did do a cracking job. So I'm just going to do one little poem if that's okay. I've never done it before because I wrote and recorded it on the day of the vote called The Eve of Revolution, and then I released it, and then obviously it was kind of expired the next day, obviously. Then I wrote one called The Day After, and then I was just a wee bit gutted, so I didn't do it, but I'm going to try. There's a storm a-brewing on the eve of revolution. There's a poison chalice regardless of the choosing. There's a country moving on a map, on a globe, on a big stage under a microscope. There's a fear and a hope. There's a yes and a no. There's a flag stuck in a pole, a stop and a go. There's an if and a but, open and shut. A roll of the eyes and a sigh and a tut. There's a roll of the dice or a backward step. There's a debt collector's breath on the back of your neck. There's a queue at the door. There's a food bank growth. There's a dark force at work telling workers how to vote. There is snouts in the trough and doubts all across. Brainwashed tosh and calculated costs. A collage of chaos and doctored statistics. Nursing pay rises, no shares of the riches. There is hands in the cookie jar covered in blood. And there's people being had who have had enough. There's a blag and a bluff and a poker face. There's a snag and a glitch and a nuclear race. There's bills being passed without questions being asked. An irrational mad dash for fiscal cash. There's an unfit for purpose parliament. An ATOS contract and a Duncan Smith. I like the way Duncan Smith sounds like a swear word, doesn't it? Ja, Duncan Smith. An air of austerity suffocates. A wind in the sails like a hurricane. A dead iron lady rolls in her grave as a cunt called Dave tells her country to behave. Scotland the brave or Scotland the foolish. But Bullingdon bullshits and Bullingdon bullies. And Eton reports fake corporations dictate. Then Westminster rid ministers their hate. There's rewards for treachery and punishment for honesty. Nobody yet can properly define a democracy. A question of currency and a dead-end economy where almost nobody has hardly any money's on way. A tirade of tyrants, tiresome sirens, wireless siphons, wind farms, steel pilings. There's eyebrows of mass distraction, furrowed brows of worry. Thoroughly discontent will miss the Tories in a hurry. Where will it end? I'm not even sure it will until they spend a cool mill in Eric Pickle's biscuit bill. There's a leader of the opposition who agrees with Dave by his own admission. There's a million kids in broken Britain who don't have so much as a pot to piss in. There is human beings who strangely go missing. Only unemployed journalists can write with conviction. The mainstream don't speak of their own volition. Self-regulation is what's making them commission. There's paedophile rings for politicians. They investigate themselves. No one listens to the victims. Look over there. Look at them Russians. Blackmailed emails and super injunctions. Something, something, Nick Clegg's face. Something, 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 Nick Clegg's face. Something, something. There's a blackballed writer. There's a dead witness. There's a sign outside saying closed for business. But there's billions of people egging us on to put an X in the box and try right some wrongs. There's a hope. There's a spark. There's a glint in the dark. There's a home. There's a heart. We have art. It's a start. There's a will. There's a way. Let's stop the talking and walk away. And then you wake up the next day, gutted. Well, I was at George's Square. Did anyone was in at George's Square on the Thursday night? Were you there? And just the news was kind of filtering through and all that. I was there at George's Square as a wave of despair, silenced unsung heroes and hung in the air. Just like I knew it would, then I suddenly thought differently. I was high in words and drunk in possibilities. The synchronicity, the pretty light shone bright, and I could sense a victory with razor-sharp light. In hindsight, the vivid imagery was filling me with hallucinations. that stimulates some synergy. Now a bitter memory, need a complexitive remedy, the merit of temerity, the face of such severity. Serendipity, a bit to truth in sheep's clothing. The pigs flew over Katie Hopkins being right, now hell is frozen. The blame game's all we've got. That one question we're now posing. Is the blame game that we've got, that one question we're now posing, like a shark seeking blood, need an enemy to zone in on. There was a tidal wave of hope, and we were on a surfboard, buzzing off the fumes cause utopia is hardcore. I had faith in my peers who were steering the ship, just one sip of freedom, then the drip effect drips. We were on a boat battling both David and Goliath. Goliath with a war machine that drives a TV licence and a lines to kill dreams and fill streams of conscious thought with rotten to the core smoke screens in your toast box. It ceases to go swimmingly when you're seemingly drowning and the safety jacket you crave is mounted upon a mountain. All the excuses have been caned and bathed in lava rocks. What do the top brass talk about when the cameras stop? Is it letters from God or electoral fraud? Do you need to rig the votes when the voters are flawed? Poor sod, spoon-fed hate by the ton. It's tea cake. Chinese whispers about Russians and it rapidly escalates. Fear imbalanced, like a ballerina on ketamine. The dogs of war barking orders to the media machine. If it don't suit the suits, then the truth's not reported. Your critical faculties are tragically now dead important. I think we're finally getting it, and now we're connected. So when they try to censor internet, do not accept it. Bullshit detected. And when UKIP get elected, don't be tempted to condemn those who chose to reject it. I'm sure we'll get it in time without all your happy nows. Divide and conquer is the real fight happening now. We are more clued up, readier than ever. Let's bring something to the party that's a little left of centre. If you see this transparent planet now, then you're probably raging. But this was just a rough demo of an album of engagement. Thank you.
Yeah!